is it like daily driving a Jetta GLI? Is it unreliable? I mean, it is German, and I did some modifications. So in this video, we're gonna talk about that. Before we even get it started, go ahead and press the like button for me. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the comfort and the interior quality. For this price point, I rate both of those very great. Only because I worked at the Volkswagen dealership when I got the car, so I got a crazy discount. Not really even as crazy as it should have been, but that's besides the point. For this price point, I think this car is great. I'm 5'7" and like 135 pounds. So I'm of course not the hugest guy, but this car fits me very comfortably, just so you can have that as reference. Getting in is very easy, getting out is very easy. I've got plenty of headroom. Like I said, I'm 5'7", so you can just use this as a reference for you. The seats are height adjustable, so you can always go down or up if you need to. And the interior quality, I mean, I don't see anything wrong with it in the front, at least. It is gonna depend on the year that you get, because different years have different interiors. Like for example, I have the 2022. This interior is a little bit different from like a 2019 or even a 2024. In 2022, all they had was the Autobahn trim level. But if you go to like a 2023, then you have the 40th anniversary. So that's the difference between cloth seats and leather seats. The features might be different, especially for my year. My year was the year of like all those features getting deleted, so I don't have like the ventilated seats, but I'd say I'm pretty comfortable with this car for the price point. Next up is the infotainment system. It's a pretty solid system if you ask me. A lot of people complain about the steering wheels having the capacitive buttons. Honestly, I love that feature. Like being able to press or swipe is a big plus for me. I don't think I've ever accidentally pressed those buttons or ever accidentally swiped them. It's only the people who have never used anything like a PlayStation 3, for example. You know how you can accidentally turn that off, but after a while you just get used to it and you learn how to not accidentally keep doing the same mistake over and over again. But like I said, I've actually never accidentally pressed these buttons, not that I can recall. One that's touchy for me is fuel economy, because it must be something with the way I drive. It almost definitely is, but I never get the fuel economy that's rated for a car. Even with my last car, I still didn't get the rated fuel economy. Since I started driving today, I have an average of 13.2 miles per gallon. Just for reference, this car is supposed to get between 26 and 43 miles per gallon. For the GLI, I think it's 26 to 36. So yeah, of course that does drop based on your idle time. So right now it's actually dropping. It just dropped to 13.1 and I haven't driven anywhere. But yeah, I know people who actually get the rated fuel economy. I know people who get 35, 36, sometimes upward of 40 miles per gallon. It just depends on you and your driving habits. But even with that fuel economy, since this is about daily drivability, this car is actually relatively inexpensive to fill up. And I don't think I've ever like went to the gas station and was like, this is how much I'm paying now. Like, this is what I have to pay. Like, I've never really minded paying to fill up this car because it's not that expensive to fill up. The gas lasts a long time depending on how you drive, and it's not expensive when you fill it up. The fuel tank isn't that big anyway, so you don't have to worry about putting like 20 gallons in it, you know what I mean? Visibility is pretty good. Visibility is not really something I ever really worry about because I have the blind spot monitors. When a car's in your blind spot, those are gonna light up on your mirrors, but the mirrors are actually good enough the way I have them set that I feel like I could see a car if it's in, you know, an area to the side of me. There are of course real blind spots on this car, like behind those pillars and stuff, but it's not like a huge enough blind spot where the car is going to disappear for several seconds at a time. Usually once the car enters the blind spot, it's already exiting it anyway. And then this is something that I could have mentioned in the comfort section, the practicality. So when it comes to practicality and storage, I think this car is pretty good too. I've never had a situation where the trunk wasn't large enough for something that I needed to put in there. You know, going to like Costco or going anywhere where you have something that may be bigger than the average package. Pause. I don't think I've had any issues fitting something in there. Like if I could have gotten a different car, like a Golf R or let's say an Elantra N, I would be very worried if I went to like IKEA or something, because the Elantra N has those bars like behind the seats. The Golf R is a hatchback. It's a lot taller. Technically, I think it's a little bit more storage, but I just don't feel comfortable with a hatchback. It just feels smaller to me. Ride quality is very good in this car. For the price point, I was very shocked when I sat in this car, gave it a test drive, and saw how it drove in comparison to the other cars in this price point. You can compare it to a lot of cars, and this, like, pound for pound is going to be a little bit better. Compare this to a Nissan a Chevy, a Ford, a Hyundai, any of those cars that's in the same price point, it's not going to feel the same. It's not till you start getting to the beginning stages of the luxury cars like Acura, Lexus, Cadillac. Those cars I feel like are more comparable to the way this car drives, especially the ride quality. It smooths out the bumps pretty nicely, but the suspension in this car is also adaptive. So for those people looking to lower your car, keep that in mind too. If you're gonna get coilovers, well, I recommend don't even get coilovers for this car. Just go ahead and get suspension. Go ahead and go, I'm so tongue-tied. I meant to say go ahead and get lowering springs instead of getting coilovers. Climate control is really good too. Right now it's like 93 degrees. I'm sitting in the car. The AC's on one notch up and I'm still pretty cool. This AC can get very, very cold. But one thing I do want to point out is there is no AC vent in the rear. In fact, there's no type of climate at all in the rear other than opening and closing the windows. And the windows actually, I don't know if you can see it right here, they don't go all the way down. That's as far as they go. I don't really mind it because I don't sit in the back, but if you have rear passengers all the time, they may be asking like, hey, can you unlock the window because I want to put it down? I've had that question a few times. I think if you get the Jetta S, the base model, not the GLI, but like the regular Jetta, and you get the base model, you can actually get heated seats in the rear. It's either the S or the SE. I know one of them has it. It's called the cold weather package, but it didn't come with the 2022 GLI. In fact, I don't think any GLI comes with rear heated seats. Maybe the 2019 if you get the 35th anniversary, but somebody can correct me in the comment section below. The same thing goes with the heated steering wheel. This is a really weird one. So the heated steering wheel button is actually here, but you actually can't use it on this steering wheel. So I feel like this steering wheel should have the heating feature. They just decided not to enable it, probably because of the chip shortage too. And then noise levels, I feel like people always complain about a car's interior noise level if you can hear the sounds outside. This car I think does a very good job at blocking out the sounds. It's not double pane glass or anything, but it does the job. I do wish that the car itself was a little bit louder because I think this car actually sounds amazing stock. And this might be a little bit of an unpopular opinion, but I actually think this car sounds better with the stock setup than when you get like an aftermarket exhaust. Like I wish there was an aftermarket exhaust that makes the car louder without changing the way the car sounds, because a lot of those aftermarket exhausts have sounds that I'm really not a fan of. Either that or I like it, but I just like the stock sound a little bit better. And while we're talking about the way the car sounds, this car gets actually a lot of looks, especially when I'm downshifting at a light. People always turn their head, and I get it, my car is a little bit loud in the way that it looks. It's got the red stripes, it's got the pointed mirrors. I'll get out and show you what the car looks like in a little bit, and then I'll give you a POV drive. I just want to make this video as comprehensive as possible. So you're going to get me talking about the video, you're going to get a walk around of the car, and then you're going to get a POV drive. But let me finish talking about the car first. So I already know there's going to be some people out there that are wondering about this, and that's the maneuverability and the parking. At the end of the day, this is still on the Volkswagen Jetta body, so the car is quite compact. You're really not going to have any type of problems parking this car, and you're not going to have any type of problems maneuvering it through tight spaces either. This car is really good at that. Now let's walk around the car and then we'll do a POV drive. So I really should have put on some tire shine before starting this video. I feel like that's a common theme with my videos now. My wheels always looking dry, but here's a quick walk around of my GLI. I guess this is like an entry-level sports car, but if you aren't used to driving cars that have a little bit of performance, I feel like this is the best car for you to get into. This car can teach you how to drive, but it can also really, really mess you up. When the car comes from the factory, it has these really horrible tires on it. So I went ahead and switched mine out because I wanted a little bit more traction. As you can see, it's probably time for me to get new tires now. But the ones that I have on there now give me a little bit more traction than what the original ones were, because the original ones were literally garbage. You can see my front ones are a little bit better right now. Even though it is only 228 horsepower stock, it still is a German front-wheel drive sports car. Most people aren't used to front-wheel drive cars with the turbos and everything like that. And if they are, it's probably something like that or something like that. Very different driving experiences. So now, let's do the POV drive.
I'm gonna start you off in a parking lot of a mall just so you can see how it is at the lower speeds. In a tighter area like this, I can maneuver very, very easily. But for this part of the video, I'm not gonna talk as much because I want you to hear how the car sounds. Oh, but one thing I do want to point out is my camera is very, very shaky. So some of the noises you hear are actually from the camera rather than from the car. If this light is green, I'm gonna do a small little pull for you guys. Let me hop over in the left lane.
Just ruined the pull.
But it's cool. I'll just go to the end of the road, make a U-turn, and then do a pull. All right, I'm gonna hit this U at the light and then I'm gonna do a small pull before their light turns green. I'm not even gonna pretend like I drive like this all the time. I really only do it when I turn on the camera. But even when the camera's on, I really don't like speeding, especially on roads like this. This is Mexico, by the way. But yeah, I just want to remind you guys that speed kills. So have fun when you can, but I would recommend going to a track if you want to speed, or at least to the highway. But while we're on the topic of speeding, I do want to mention that I have modified this car. So I have a Stage 1 Plus ECU and TCU tuned by Unitronic. And I also have a carbon fiber intake by Unitronic as well. Neither of which I think affect the daily drivability, is at least for mine. I haven't run into any type of issues. But like I said, this car does get a lot of looks just from the way I modified it to look. But then on top of that, after you get that intake, it's going to be really, really loud. You're going to hear lots of turbo sounds and people are going to look at you. So if you want a car that sounds good, definitely put on some modifications. But if you like to stay under the radar, those modifications definitely will make you stand out a little bit more. So it's really all up to what you want to do. But I'm going to go ahead and end this video right here. I hope you guys learned something about the daily drivability of the Jetta GLI. If you're in the market for a Jetta GLI or in the market for any type of Volkswagen, I hope this video was helpful. And if you did think that it was entertaining, please go ahead and leave a like. Thanks for watching. Until next time.